This is the Louie T Network.
See, first come the preseason, and I don't take a day off. And then my team was 6-10, and we ain't smell a playoffs. Yeah, I seen the Super Bowl, but I heard they just play balls. A lot of teams had injuries. Sam Bradford had to take off. Go hard in the offseason, but you don't know the half. Before you know, we gon' look up, and we ready for the draft. They dressed up in that suit top, and I don't know how to act. They waiting, so patient, so they can put on that hat. Who else could it be? But your man Luke. Okay, so when she asks you where you at, you tell her you in the lab room. Who else could it be? Who? But your man Luke. Okay, so when she asks where you was at, you can tell her you was in the lab room. Yeah.
So we jump back into part 2 of week 5's hurry, 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 up offense. We go straight to Kansas City and the Chiefs taking on the Chicago Bears. The Bears. Let me start by saying, very disappointed. No, I'm pissed off with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm done with these bastards, okay? I went out on a limb, and it was a pretty strong limb, I thought. You know, before this week started, I said, I don't think Kansas City's a 1-3 football team, okay? I looked at them and I said, tough schedule to start the season. They let one slip away in like week 2 versus the Denver Broncos or whatever it was, week 3, that they should have won on Thursday night. Then they had to go in back-to-back weeks to Green Bay and to Cincinnati. That's tough for anybody. So for them to start the season 1-3, understandable. Now it's time for them to get back on track. The Bears are coming. Guess who's coming to dinner? It's the Bears. Eat them up. Yum, yum, eat them up. Yum, yum, eat them up. And what do? They squander a 14-point lead. Let's talk about this first. Let's talk about the Bears, okay? Let's talk about how they were able to sneak in through the back door, come out with a W, and get out of town. Baronis Grasu, making his first NFL start at center. He's going to be a good football player. He got blown up early on, and when you're going up against one of the best in the league, it's understandable. Terry Poe ate him up early in the football game, and that led to Jay Cutler getting sacked in the end zone, coughing up the football, being recovered by Ramik Wilson in a touchdown in the end zone, and it gave the Chiefs a quick start in this football game. But again, young football player making a mistake against a really good football player. Those things happen, and so he'll be fine, he'll settle in, but he got his welcome to the NFL moment against Terry Poe in this football game. Pernell McPhee, he's starting to have an impact on this team, and they didn't sign him to be a special team standout, but he was on this particular play. He blocks a field goal. This is a huge play in this game. It was 17-3 at the time. Jamal Charles had just went down in the second half. If they make this field goal, there's no doubt in my mind they win, and I'm going to tell you what I was thinking. When I saw, you know what, I'll save it for when I'm talking Kansas City Chiefs. Big block by Pernell McPhee, just know that, to keep the score at 17-3. Marquise Wilson starting to step up. And it's funny, I got a buddy of mine that I talked to, and the one guy that he can't stand is Marquise Wilson, because Bears fans have been talking about Marquise Wilson for a long time now, about 2 or 3 years strong, about how this guy's going to impact this team, and he's going to start being one of the go-to receivers on this football team, and it just hasn't happened. He hasn't manifested himself into the type of receiver that Bears fans had hoped for, but he's starting to get it. And sometimes, I talk about this all the time, and it's just like life, and I talk about how life and sports, you know, sports is a microcosm of life, and to me, everyone doesn't mature at the same rate. You got some guys that they just get it. Some females, they just get it. You know, they're 16 years old, and they've got the mind of a 28-year-old, and they act as such. And so they're much more mature beyond their years. Then you got some people that are 35, and they're just as immature as an 18-year-old. And so everyone matures at a different rate. And I think he's just starting to get it, okay? It took him a lot longer than people were expecting or hoping for, but it doesn't matter. If he's starting to get it now and he gets it, this guy has talent, and you're starting to see it. He made some really good plays in this game, some big plays down the stretch. He had a really good game. Cutler made some gorgeous throws, one of them to Marquise Wilson in this game. They're starting to get on the same page, and if they ever get it together, and then Alshon Jeffrey, never ever trust a man with 2 first names, gets involved in this offense and can get healthy, you could have something in Chicago. And of course, you're still waiting on your big horse that you drafted in this past year's draft. So if everybody comes along and this guy starts to get it, you could have some stuff in Chicago. This Cameron Meredith guy, I'm intrigued. He made some plays in this game. I'm gonna keep my eye on him. I'm not sure if he's gonna last, if he's gonna continue to make plays, but at 6'3", 200 and some change, this kid is big, he's physical, and he made some plays in this game. I got my eye on him. I thought he was really good for the Bears as well in this football game. Heck of a drive though, with the game on the line, down 17-12. Bears take it all the way down the field, and they had a couple of big-time conversions on 3rd downs. Got some help from the Chiefs with some penalties, but they did some work. Jay Cutler dropped the football on the snap, picks it up, presses the line to throw it to Matt Forte, who wins one-on-one against the linebacker. It's just a beautiful play. And so the Bears earned this W. Big time plays made down the stretch, and the defense held up. After Jamal Charles got hurt, the defense didn't allow the Chiefs to do anything in this game, and the Chiefs went somewhat conservative. They had to pay for a big win on the road for the Chicago Bears. You go to the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. Their defense was ferocious early. I talked about the sack already. Dontari Poe beats up Oronis Grasu, and Bailey gets in as well to help join, get Cutler on the ground. Ball comes out, recovered by Ramik Wilson, your rookie out of Georgia, in the end zone. 4 touchdown, quick start for this Chiefs defense. Dak getting involved. He needs to be Black Mamba needs to get the football more. I've talked about this before. He's an explosive player, not just on special teams, but on offense. He needs to be more involved. They got him involved on offense, and he got into the end zone with a catch and run, 14-3. Just like that, I'm thinking to myself, damn, I'm good. I picked these Chiefs to win against the Bears. They're about to clean these boys up. It's 14-3 early. They're going to run away with this game, and I haven't even used the Packers or the Patriots yet. I felt like I was really doing it big, and then it happened. Second drive, opening drive, matter of fact, of the second half, Jamal Charles goes down. Very familiar looking play. He hurt that ACL, or the opposite leg, I should say, earlier in his career. Looked eerily similar to that. Trying to cut, no contact, just looking to plant and cut back. Knee gives out. And it was a really, really frightening scene for Chiefs fans. And what you were fearing the most, your worst fears were confirmed after the game. Torn ACL, going to miss the rest of the season, going to be a nice long comeback trail for Jamal Charles. But if we've seen anything else, and it's just the ACL, that these players, they're getting stronger and better than ever off of these ACL injuries. We'll see how Jamal Charles responds, but in the meantime, this Chiefs team is in trouble. And what I was thinking at the time of this injury, when they cut away from my game to show me a game break, and I'm thinking, Chiefs piling on more points. What you about to do, Jay Charles? And then I hear the tone of the actual announcer talking about it. I'm like, what happened? Damn, did somebody die? Yeah, well, close enough. Jamal Charles tears his ACL. I mean, the Chiefs season is dead. And at the time, I'm thinking, okay, well, damn the Chiefs season. I just need them to win this game. It was 17-3 at the time. I'm saying, okay, he went down, and I'm looking around at the scenery. I said, okay, you're in field goal range. Get that field goal. I don't see the Bears scoring 20 points in this game. I don't see the Bears scoring 20. If you kick that field goal, knock it home, we'll win this game. Because you're not scoring any more points without Jamal Charles in this game. That's what I said at the time. They have that field goal block. I couldn't understand why they didn't. Because Cairo Santos is as reliable right now in the league as you're going to get. He had 7 field goals the previous week. He shouldn't be missing from, 35 yards. They were literally at like the 15, 16 yard line when Jamal Charles went down. So I'm like, there's no way Cairo Santos is missing that on his own. It got blocked, man. Damn it, man. And I said, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. 17-3. I said, with that defense though, that should be able to hold up. And I thought it would, but just too many mistakes on the part of this Chiefs team when they needed to get a stop. The offense didn't help, okay? I want to definitely say the offense did not help. They went 3 and out a lot. They did not sustain drives. That put a tired Chiefs defense on the field, and the Bears were able to take advantage. Jay Howard had a huge personal foul penalty, helped lead to a Marquise Wilson touchdown. Then you had Marcus Peters pass interference on the final drive that helped lead to a field goal touchdown by Matt Forte, the game winner, as a matter of fact. And then you had a situation where the Chiefs got the football, they were able to move it down the field, and then Macklin, your big-time free agent acquisition, juggles the football, which would have put you in a range to send Cairo Santos onto the field to make a field goal. Those 5, 6, 7 yards that he would have gotten on that play would have been just enough. I think Cairo Santos would have made that field goal too. I had a lot of confidence in him, and without that catch, they overturned it. It was a good call. He juggled the football, never got possession before the feet were inbounds. So you send him out there for like a 63 or 65 yard, he wasn't gonna make it. I mean, it wasn't long enough, and it didn't have the accuracy, and the accuracy wasn't there because he was trying to kick it as hard as he could. And so the Chicago Bears sneak into Arrowhead. A lot of Bears fans in this game too, but you know, the proximity of these two teams, it explains all of that. But Bears sneak in the back door of Arrowhead and get out of town with an 18-17. That's a big win for a Bears team. And I just said, there's no way they're going into Arrowhead and winning. Andy Reid and this Chiefs team, they're in trouble now. Their season is officially done at 1-4 with no Jamal Charles. You can go ahead and wrap this Chiefs team up. They're going to be the worst team in the AFC West this season because Jamal Charles is such a big part of their offense. Take him out of the mix, to lose to a Bears team, to lose to the Broncos when you had them. You're now, if I'm not mistaken, you're now 0-2 at Arrowhead. You can't be 0-2 at Arrowhead. That's the one advantage that you have. And now you're not even winning there. It's going to be a tough season for this Chiefs team. Big win for the Bears, who now are 2-3 on the season. You go to the next matchup, New Orleans Saints at the Philadelphia Eagles. And let's make this one quick because the Eagles made quick work of these guys, especially in the second half. Saints getting gashed early defensively. It's a young defense, and so when you got a young defense, you got to expect some breakdowns, breakdowns in communication. Things are going to happen. There are going to be days like this where guys just get beat. They made some plays early on, though, a couple of interceptions with Sam Bradford to keep this game close early, but eventually they kept giving up chunks, and you can't give up chunks in this league and not expect to pay at some point. That's what happened in this game. Missed opportunities by the Saints offense. Chip Kelly went for it on 4th down a couple of times and failed early in this game, giving up some really prime field position, and yet the Saints weren't able to take advantage of it on the offensive side. Again, when guys like that, and you know, Chip has a mindset of, hey, my offense can convert, I can do this. And so if he wants to feel froggy and leap on 4th down from the 37-yard line, that fringe area where you're in field goal range, but you're kind of too close to punt, you got to take advantage of that. They give you the football at the 35, that's a gift. Take it and run with it. Saints didn't do that in this game. And so I just felt like there were some opportunities there. Even if you only get a field goal out of the deal, there's some opportunities to get some points early in this game. Saints did not convert. 2 Drew Brees fumbles were huge in this game. That second one really bust this game wide open. Eagles had the momentum. They had just come off of scoring a touchdown. The Drew Brees fumbles deep in Saints territory, gives it right back to the Eagles. The very next play, Brent Selleck is in the end zone on a corner route touchdown, and this game was never the same after that. Too many Saints mistakes in this game to win on the road against an Eagles team that was desperate in this football game. You lose Marquise Colston in this game as well to a shoulder injury. He'll be back shortly, but again, this team isn't good enough to lose anything on the offensive side of the football, and they just didn't have it in this game. And this is going to be indicative of what the Saints are going to be. If they don't play good football, if they turn it over, young defense, this is what's going to happen to them on the road if they don't play good football when they leave the Superdome. You go to the Philadelphia Eagles, Bradford marches his team down the field twice early in this ball game. I don't like Sam Bradford in this offense. I'm just going to tell you. When he's on, it's nice, but he makes too many mistakes. He misses too many throws. I don't really like Sam Bradford in this offense, and he makes some really bad decisions. There was a couple of throws here. One play was really good. Delvin Breaux, his interception was outstanding. It was a phenomenal pick. But the pick before that, the first one of the game, the throw was in the wrong location. I don't think it was necessarily a bad decision. It was just poorly thrown. You can't throw that football on the inside to an outbreaking route. He had space to the outside. I just don't understand why the throw was errant as it was. But nonetheless, 2 interceptions to start the game. He did bounce back, however, have a big game, over 300 yards passing. It put up some points in this game. To me, the defense and the Eagles' defensive line, more specific, the nobodies, that's the strength of this team. Both sides of the football, it doesn't matter. You don't get much better than what the Eagles do on the defensive line. Benny Logan, Fletcher Cox, those guys are outstanding, and they're gonna wreak havoc people are going to know their names. They call themselves the nobodies because nobody really knows who they are. You're going to know these guys when the season's done. These are talented football players along that defensive line. They get it done. And so, if there's one complaint after this game, aside from the Bradford turnovers, got the running game going, a lot of good things coming from this game, there's one complaint, is that your field goal kicking situation is still not stable. You got Caleb Sturgis out there missing extra points. He's not consistent on his field goal attempts. If I were you, I would not be very comfortable with him being my field goal kicker. He's going to cost you another game. He cost you the Redskins game. He's going to cost you another ball game. I'm telling you right now, if you don't fix that, and I don't know what you're going to do because there's not a lot of options out there. There were some options before and you let them kind of slide away and go to other teams. Now you're in a situation where you're pretty much stuck, but I would at least test the waters out there on a Tuesday and see what's out there because I don't trust him as my field goal kicker. But Eagles get it done. They rout the New Orleans Saints 39-17, go to 2-3 on the season. Huge Monday night matchup now against the New York Football Giants. That's for first place in the NFC East. If the Eagles can get that one and get back to 3-3, they have a share of first place. If the Cowboys or the Redskins can win, if both of those teams lose and the Eagles win, they'd have first place all to themselves. So that's a big matchup for the Philadelphia Eagles. You can go from worst to first in essentially a week if they're able to take care of business on Monday night. For the Saints, Thursday night matchup coming up against the Atlanta Falcons. They've got to take care of business. I like them in that game because Drew Brees plays great against the Falcons. Falcons short week. Julio Jones not healthy. We'll see what they do though. They've got to bounce back. This was an ugly loss on the road. Seattle at Cincinnati, arguably the best game of week number 5 in the National Football League. This was a game where I saw a number of different things happening, and I'm going to talk about that on the podcast this week, and also I'm going to talk about it here on this breakdown. Let's jump into this. Seattle first. Seattle not only answered back to the early touchdown of the Cincinnati Bengals, but they put up 24 unanswered points. A span of 3 quarters where they actually looked like they were going to run away with this football game. And the old Seahawks, and when I say the old Seahawks, the ones from last year, the year before that, and the year before that, they would have run away with this game. There's no way. And you could argue, well, if they had Marshawn Lynch, but Thomas Rawls ran for 169 yards, okay? So I don't want to hear the Marshawn Lynch thing. You got a great running game from Thomas Rawls in this game. You had everything you needed to win this football game. I'm going to tell you where you went wrong here. The D-line was creating havoc. Sacked Andy Dalton 4 times in this game, and Andy Dalton doesn't get sacked. He's getting rid of the football. That offensive line in front of him, one of the best in the league. Every year, Andy Dalton is among the least sacked quarterbacks in the league. But he got sacked in this game. That defensive line was wreaking havoc. Everything was set for you to win this game on the road, and this could be a game changer for you. This could have been a season-changing, defining victory at this point in the season, and yet you didn't know how to take advantage of it, and that's really scary because the Seattle Seahawks that I know, that everybody else knows, they know how to take care of these types of games and sew this one up, okay? This one was sewn up like a tailor, relatively easy like Jerry Heller. And so you had opportunities, is basically what I'm saying, but you didn't take them, and here's why. Problem number 1, too many penalties, and this is a team that is always way too penalized. Always. This is a team that is always among the league leaders in penalties every single year. But when you're a good football team, you can get away with that. Well, you didn't get away with that this game. You're not good enough anymore to have 10 penalties for 112 yards. You're not good enough to do that anymore. You can't get away with that. You're just as mortal as everyone else in the league now. So you can't do those things. Special teams and your anemic offense caught up with you in this game. That, to me, is the biggest reason you lost this game, though. Your special teams, this game was done. Okay, 24-7, you got this game right where you want it, and then you let Pac-Man Jones, or excuse me, the cornerback, formerly known as Pac-Man Jones, Adam Jones, get you for a big punt return, sets the Cincinnati Bengals up in great field position. They go down, get a touchdown. Next thing you know, they got momentum now. You know you're on the road. That momentum, Uncle Mo was sitting around, chilling on the sideline of the Seattle Seahawks, eating a bag of chips. Pass me my drink. He was chilling, beat up on the couch. Man, Uncle Mo was having a time on the Seahawks sideline. And then, all of a sudden, you give up that big punt return, and Uncle Mo takes that stroll right across the field. Nobody's really noticing. Now Uncle Mo's on the Cincinnati Bengals sideline chilling out, having a drink, cooling out with that game. And all of a sudden you can't get it back. Special teams let you down there. Pac-Man had another, Adam Jones had another good return later on in the game. And if not for a phantom fair catch called by the officials, he would have had another one. I mean, special teams really hurt you in this game. And then the offense, even though you had 24 points, keep in mind, 7 of those points directly generated by the defense. Great play by Bennett. Football scooped up by Wagner into the end zone. Look, defense accounted for 7 of those. The Thomas Rawls run accounted for another one. That was about 69 yards, matter of fact, on that touchdown run. So that's 14 points that were just given to you, essentially. And so take that out of the mix. Your offense scored 10 points, and then you had a deep ball to a wide open Curse on that opening possession when you struck back after the Cincinnati Bengals got in the end zone. So really, you had big plays get you points. But in terms of sustaining offense, you didn't do that. You only generated 3 points from a sustained drive. And so your offense was anemic. Once again, the offensive line wasn't consistent in this game. They hadn't been all season long. That cost you the ball game. Let's go to Cincinnati though. Another fast start by this Bengals offense. And to me, that's the most impressive thing about this team early in the ball game right now is that they're getting off the fast starts. In 4 of their 5 contests, they've scored on the opening drive of the game. Nobody is better on the first possession of the football game than this Cincinnati Bengals football team. They're jumping out to 7-0 leads, and they're not getting the football and setting them for field goals, folks. They're getting in the end zone, whether it's Giovanni Bernard, or it's the other horse back there who's not having the greatest of seasons, but he's finding the end zone anyway. Whether it's him or Jeremy Hill or Andy Dalton finding one of his targets, they're getting in the end zone. Okay, they're scoring touchdowns, and that's tough to do on the opening possession, but they're scripting these plays, they're coming out and they're executing, and they're getting in the end zone. Another example of that in this game, getting off to a fast start, getting in the end zone to start the football game. Pressure on Andy Dalton really stagnated this offense. I felt like Andy Dalton couldn't get into the rhythm that he's normally in, and they were stuck on 7, man. They went out, they looked great on that opening possession, and then nothing. For about 2.5 quarters, they were sleepwalking through this game. They were down 24-7 in the 4th quarter, folks. There was nothing being generated by this Cincinnati Bengals football team. And then Adam Jones, big punt return, gave this team some life, and Andy Dalton came alive and started going bananas on this Seahawks defense. He was outstanding in this game. I'll talk about Andy a little bit later on, but the punt return ignites this lifeless team. And then I thought this was some real resilience on the part of the Bengals. So Andy just gets surgical on these boys, starts hitting Tyler Eifert, and this guy is amazing. I've been waiting for Tyler Eifert to just stay healthy. I said, if he can just stay healthy, this guy's a difference maker. The Bengals have been talking about him all offseason. Now you see why. He's a huge part of this team. 2 touchdowns in this football game, and probably the biggest catch in this game, the single biggest play in this game was turned in by Tyler Eifert on that catch right by the 2-minute warning to get them in the field goal range and give them a chance to tie this ball game up and send it to overtime. Your kicker Nugent, a little shaky on that game winner, hits the uprights, but it went in. And there's a lot to like about this Cincinnati Bengals team right now. Giovanni Bernard running the football in overtime to help them set up their field goals. This team right now, they showed me something in this game that I hadn't seen from them before, and that's heart. A heart of a champion and the resiliency to be down. You're going to take some punches throughout the course of the season. You're going to get knocked down to the canvas. It's how you respond to being punched in the mouth. They got hit in the mouth at the crib by a bully. They got up, stood up to the bully, and not only stood up to the bully, hit him back, and the bully tucked his tail between his legs and ran home. That's a big win for the Cincinnati Bengals. They're 5-0. Now, what I challenge them to do is continue on. Going to Buffalo, no Tyrod Taylor. Don't have a letdown next week and drop a game that you have no business losing to a backup quarterback in E.J. Manuel. Go over there, smoke those boys. Look, teams go to Buffalo. They don't play the same. You could fall into that trap. Don't fall into the trap. I'm challenging you. Go out there and take care of business. I stuck my toe in the Cincinnati Bengals water, and it didn't burn me, nor did it chill me. I'm really starting to warm up to the idea of this Bengals team being different this year. Not sold yet. Damn it, this game goes a long way in convincing me that the Bengals are not the same old Bengals that I've come to know and love. 27-24 overtime victory, 20 unanswered points by the Cincinnati Bengals team to get it done in exhilarating fashion. This is a big win, folks. And the Seahawks, they're not the same team. I'm going to talk about them and this Bengals team on my podcast this week a little bit more. That is a huge win and a debilitating loss. Did you see Richard Sherman after this game? He looked like he just lost his puppy. That's the type of loss this was. That's the type of win it was for the Cincinnati Bengals team, as they're now 5-0 on the season. Seattle Seahawks dropped to 2-3 on the season. Move on to the next matchup. This was an absolute ass thrashing. This was an old school, good old fashioned, passionate ass whooping and getting your shoes cooked and your hat taken. Arizona Cardinals on the road taking on the Detroit Lions. This Lions team, they're lost. They're really lost right now. They can't find their way. And you want let me tell you what's crazy. This game didn't start out. This didn't have the feel of a blowout, okay? Detroit scores early. This looks like it's going to be a good ball game. They're actually moving the football down the field. But a couple of Matthew Stafford mistakes early really hurt this team. A couple of bad interceptions that he threw. And the Cardinals, they just were so opportunistic in this game. And I've talked about them all season long. Being an opportunistic defense, being an aggressive defense, you're going to make mistakes if you're not careful against this Arizona Cardinals team. And the Lions found out the hard way. 4 first half turnovers. Carson Palmer sharp. There are 2 more David Johnson touchdowns for the Cardinals. That young rookie is right up there among the league leaders in touchdowns scored this season. Again, we're talking about a rookie here, folks. This guy continues to impress. Didn't have a lot of touches, but he made the ones that he got count in this football game. Chris Johnson continues to look awesome this season. I said the Cowboys should have picked this guy up. There's a lot more gas left in that tank. And the Cardinals are the benefactors of that. This guy looks outstanding, and he continues to make big plays in this offense. Over 100 yards for him in this game. Good to see Andre Elliott come back and have an impact. 63-yard scamper for a touchdown in this game. They really had it clicking on all cylinders, did the Arizona Cardinals in this football game. Defense was outstanding. They generated 6 turnovers in this game, 4 in the first half. Put this game out of reach. It was 28-7 at the halftime break. They didn't let up in the second half. They came out, put another touchdown on the scoreboard, and before you know it, Carson Palmer made it look like a preseason game. He was on the sidelines chilling, had a towel over his neck, nice cold Gatorade in his hand, listening to play calls in his ear as the backup got work in the game. I mean, it was that type of day for the Arizona Cardinals. For the Detroit Lions, too many mistakes. 4 first half penalties doesn't give you a chance to get into the ball game. Amir Abdullah having struggles with the same issues that plagued him in college. He came into the league a fumbler. You saw it firsthand in this game. Not the first time he's fumbled this season. Definitely not going to be the last. Fumbled 2 times in this game, both lost. And he didn't see the field for the rest of the game. It was Zach Zenner and a lot of Theo Riddick Jr. after he fumbled the second time on that kickoff. It's what Amir Abdullah does. He has a problem. Somebody's going to have to get with him to help him correct that, because it's what he does. This team has 0 confidence when things go bad. And when that's what happens with a bad football team. When things start going awry, guys start looking around going, uh-oh, here we go again, and it's a snowball effect. And you saw it in this game. Once they started turning the football over, you could see the life slowly leaving this Lions football team, and they were drained. And at the end of the third quarter, you could see this team had quit in this football game. 42-17, another road beatdown for the Cardinals. They did it to the Bears, now they do it to the Lions. They're having their way with this NFC North division right now as they go on the road and spank another North team, and they go to 4-1 on the season. Meanwhile, the Lions are 0-5. If they don't beat Chicago in week number 6, I don't know when they're going to get their first win of the season. It's not going to get any easier than Chicago at the crib. You got to find a way to win this game. That's a tough one, though. We'll see what happens. That's family business, so we'll see what happens there. Denver at Oakland. Thought this had a chance to be a really good game, and it turned out to be such, but I thought the Raiders missed an opportunity a week ago to beat the Bears and set this up as a game that was going to have first place on the line. Instead, they couldn't get to first place with a win, but they could really make this division interesting if they could win this game. For the Broncos, all I said was just keep doing what you're doing, and that's exactly what they did. Defense rules the day in Denver. That defense, my goodness. I keep talking about it every week because I think that defense has the makings of a Super Bowl caliber football team. And it starts with the defense. We talk about this, and I'm gonna talk about this a little bit later on. Let me go ahead and run through this real quick. Peyton Manning wasn't bad on this day. I mean, you see the 2 interceptions, no touchdown passes, and you say, how was he not bad? You watch the game, he was pretty consistent all day long, but when he missed, when he made bad decisions or bad throws, he really made some costly mistakes in this game, and Uncle Charles made him pay twice. But he was pretty solid in this game. But the thing that I love about what the Broncos are doing right now, they're not relying on this offense to carry them to victories. This defense is getting them W's. At some point, this offense is going to start clicking. They're going to score more than 16 points. They're going to score more than 19 points, and they're going to get W's because the offense is scoring 24 and 27. But right now, this defense is playing outstanding, and they're carrying this Broncos football team. Emmanuel Sanders with a big game, over 100 yards. Usually every week, it's the tight end that gets the Oakland Raiders. Well, the Broncos don't really have a tight end that stands out and hurts you. And so it was Emmanuel Sanders in this game getting it done. He had a monster game. Couldn't find the end zone, but he made some really big catches to set the Broncos up for some point opportunities in this game. Opportunistic defense. I don't really have to say much more about that. This is a defense that forces turnovers every week. Some of them go back to the crib. Seems like every week they're getting at least one score from their defense, and that was a huge score in this game as Chris Harris Jr. picks off the 4 card, takes him back to the crib, and is able to give the Broncos their first touchdown of the game, their only touchdown of the game, and more importantly, a 9-point lead late in the 4th quarter. DeMarcus Ware leaves this game with a back injury. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks. That's a huge blow, but they've got depth at defensive end. Shane Gray ready to step in. The Shaquille Barrett kid, very impressive. He's another guy you got to watch out for. So they have enough depth to hold on until he comes back. Big win on the road, 16-10 for this Broncos team. I really love the makeup of this team. Defense wins championships. We've seen this team be explosive offensively and get smoked in the playoffs. This defense is going to have enough substance. They stay healthy to get it done come postseason time. You move on to the Oakland Raiders. Missed opportunities. When you're a team trying to figure it out, and they're still trying to learn how to win, okay? They're a young football team integrated with a bunch of veterans, but this is a young football team, new head coach, trying to change a culture. These are the type of games you want to find a way to get at home. They're just not there yet. You got Charles Woods in there. You got Justin Tuck, who, oh, by the way, is now done for the season with a torn pectoral muscle. He's going to be out. So that's a tough blow to a young team with a veteran with Super Bowl experience. You needed him in that locker room. You need him on that field. He's not going to be there for you anymore. So that's a tough blow to this Raiders team that is extremely young and still trying to find their way. Missed opportunities though. 2 Seabass missed field goals, 1 block, 1 just flat out missed by Seabass. You lose the game by 6 points. That's 6 points right there. Those are the type of things you can't have happen when you're looking to slay the dragon known as the Denver Broncos in your division. Had an opportunity. That's why the Broncos have won 14 or 15 straight road divisional games. They figure out a way to get it done while the other team self-destructs. And that interception by Derek Carr came at the absolute worst time. Not only are you driving down for points to take the lead late in the 4th quarter, but you made it a 2-possession game with that mistake. That was a costly one, and they find a way to get it done. Uncle Charles is timeless. My goodness, this man just continues to get it done week in and week out. I don't know what else to say about this guy other than first ballot HOFer for sure. This guy, 2 more interceptions, really gave his team a chance in this game. Took points off the scoreboard on one of those interceptions by picking Peyton Manning off right before halftime in the end zone. I don't know what else to say. And I don't know where this Raiders team would actually be without Uncle Charles. Remember, he had the game-clinching interception versus the Browns as well. That would have been a touchdown had he not stepped in and picked it off. This team would be lost without him, and I can't even imagine what they're going to do when he decides he can't play at a high level any longer. Tough loss for the Raiders. Had a chance, had ample chances, as a matter of fact, to get this job done. Defensively, I thought they did some really good things, but they didn't score enough points. You're not going to win in this league scoring 10. I said that to another team that scored 10. I want to say it was the Rams losing to the Packers. You're not going to win scoring 10 points in this league. Okay, you got to score points in order to win. And all they needed was 17, and they couldn't generate it, couldn't muster it. And so they lose 16-10. They drop to 2-3 on the season. Golden opportunity the last 2 weeks to be 4-1. Instead, they're 2-3. And that's how fine a line it is in this National Football League. You make a mistake here, make a mistake there, you lose ball games. Meanwhile, the Denver Broncos are now 5-0 on the season and really running away. After what happened on Monday night with the Chargers, which we're going to talk about here in a second, and what happened with Kansas City and losing Jamal Charles and now beating the Raiders, they look down in the division and nobody's even close. They're going to run away with this thing. They're going to have this division wrapped up by about week 12 or so. That's what it looks like right now. We'll see if they're able to stay relatively healthy and continue on the roll that they're on in the AFC West division. You finish up week number 5 with a great Monday night matchup. Pittsburgh Steelers on the road taking on the San Diego Superchargers. Let's start with the Steelers in this one. Mike Vick was horrible early. And I love me some Mike Vick. He's from VA, so I represent all day. And I say, hey, Mike, man, trying to get you some work, bro. Okay? Got you a job. Now we got to get you some work for next year. But you got to play well. It's a big stage. We already saw you on a Thursday night game. You were okay for your first start, not really knowing the playbook. I thought you were really solid. You went out and showed well enough. You missed that big throw at the end of that game, though, that cost you. So I'm saying, hey, Mike, I need a bounce back effort, man. I need to show these guys you can still be a viable backup option on somebody's squad. And Mike was like, hey, man, I don't know how much I got left, Chief. It didn't look good early, man. I'm going to tell you what. I wasn't impressed. And by the looks of a lot of posts on Twitter, a lot of other people weren't impressed either. It was bad. It was bad early. But L. Bell, boy, he's a stud, man. And he kept this team afloat while Mike Vick was struggling early in this game. So did that defense. Bud Dupree, and Jarvis Jones starting to have a light bulb come on. Talked about guys getting in a little later on in their careers. Jarvis Jones looks like a candidate for that. He's starting to play a lot better. He's starting to get acclimated to the Steelers defense and what they're asking him to do. I thought they were very aggressive against a very porous and suspect San Diego Chargers offensive line. They were aggressive getting after Phillip Rivers and making him uncomfortable. Ross Cockrell continues to be a very solid football player. He's playing ball out there. He's very aggressive. I like his demeanor and his temperament. He's a very aggressive football player, always around the football. I think that's why Mike Tomlin really likes this kid and why he continues to get snaps at the cornerback position. I like Ross Cockrell and I like what he's doing on the football field. Huge pick 6 by Antoine Blake at a time when the Steelers were struggling offensively and needed a pick-me-up. They were struggling. They only had 3 points. They couldn't muster any offensive continuity. That huge interception gave them life at the time when they were reeling in this ball game. Even though San Diego wasn't doing anything themselves, you still felt like this game was really in the balance, and one good San Diego drive polished off with the touchdown could put them up 14-3 and really put this game out of reach for an offense that was struggling in the Steelers. That pick changed the whole outcome and whole outlook of this football game. Huge play by the Steelers defense and Antoine Blake. Vick then finds Marcus Wheaton on a 72-yard touchdown bomb after the Chargers had went down the field and got a touchdown on their own. 20 seconds later, in fact. First play of that drive, Vick rolls out, hits Marcus Wheaton. It was a thing of beauty, and that's the one thing that will never leave Michael Vick, is the ability to throw the deep ball. Michael Vick will be 60 years old and still flinging the football 50 yards down the field. That guy has a cannon and he throws a beautiful deep ball. You saw it on that play. Gave Marcus Wheaton a chance to go and run under the football and make a play afterwards, and that's what he did. 72 yards later, he's in the end zone for a touchdown. Big play in the game. Gives them an opportunity to be right where they needed to be. Gives them an opportunity to take the lead is what it did. And so that was a huge play in the ball game. Chargers, let's go on to the Chargers. We'll talk about the Steelers team a little bit later on. Chargers though, make it look easy on the opening drive. OG 85 back in the lineup, fresh off that 4-game suspension, and he makes his presence felt early and often. Catches the first play in the game, catches the football, and finishes off that drive with a touchdown grab. And that was his 100th touchdown of his career. He's going to the Hall of Fame as well. You can go ahead and get his gold jacket right now. Antonio Gates, one of the best tight ends we've ever seen in the National Football League. patchwork offensive line getting abused. They talked about it all telecast long, about the number of guys that have protected Phillip Rivers over the last couple of years. It's been comical in San Diego, the amount of offensive linemen that have come in and out of there. It's just ridiculous. They've got 3 more new offensive linemen. They were playing a second game, and it was not pretty. You could tell that these guys were backups, and the Steelers were taking full advantage of them. And because that pressure was being applied to Phillip Rivers, I thought he threw that pick 6 because he was under duress. I thought he had some really errant throws in this game because he was under duress. And Phillip Rivers has done a great job throughout his career of throwing the football in muddy pockets and stepping up and creating time, but it's tough to do that on a consistent basis, and he paid for it with the pick 6 in this game. And then on the flip side of that, the Chargers had 2 opportunities. Michael Vick, I told you, was struggling. He was horrible early. They had 2 opportunities to get potential pick 6s, and they dropped them. They were right in their hands, and they could not corral them and make Michael Vick and the Steelers pay for some bad throws. So they had opportunities, they just didn't take advantage of it. Chargers quickly respond to knock the game up at 10 after the pick 6 gives the Steelers a 10-7 lead. They go right down the field, get a field goal, and tie it back up at 10. I thought Phillip Rivers was surgical in the second half. He shredded this Steelers defense, but again, they weren't putting up enough points to run away. They should have run away with this game. They had opportunities early in this game when the Steelers were struggling offensively to do some things, and they just simply could not do enough to run away with this ball game. They let the Steelers hang around, and when you let teams hang around, when they're on the road, they have a chance to steal the ball game. That's exactly what happened. He found OG 85 for his second touchdown later in the game to make it 17-10, and then Vick finds Marcus Wheaton immediately right after that, 20 seconds later, to make it 17-all. Chargers go down the field late in the ball game. Instead of them getting in the end zone, they had to settle for a field goal, and that left the door slightly ajar for the Steelers. And Michael Vick was surgical on that last possession. And he turned the clock back, went to vintage Vick. He had not run all game long, had Vick in this game, but when they needed his legs, he showcased why he is one of the most difficult quarterbacks still at his ripe old age to defend against, using the wheels and then showing that left cannon that he still has, throwing a dart to Heath Miller down to the 1-yard line. 5 seconds left in the game, big decision to make. You kick the field goal tied up with the 1 timeout that you have remaining, or do you try to go for the win? When you're on the road, you play for the win, you go aggressive. I agree with the call. There were a lot of people out there that thought they should have taken the field goal. I felt like you just needed to have something quick. And so being that you have a timeout, you could afford to run the football. That's what they elected to do. I didn't agree with the whole getting in the wildcat thing they had been doing all game and just snapping it to Le'Veon Bell, because I said, man, you're going shotgun. That's going to kill a second or 2 right there that you could be using, and you're already at the 1-yard line. Why not just quarterback sneak it? They decided to go with the wildcat. And Le'Veon Bell, you know, he's a patient runner. He used up every single second of that clock, and had he not made it, and he initially was stopped, he jumps over the pile and then gets to the outside and gets the football over the goal line. It's just a dramatic finish. You rarely see it in the NFL. An actual walk-off victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers as he gets the football across the goal line with no time remaining on the clock. Steelers win in dramatic fashion, 24-20. Huge opportunity wasted by this Chargers team to not only win this ball game, hurt the Steelers, who they're going to be competing with for a playoff berth later on down the line, but also keep them relevant in the AFC West race. That loss puts them at 2-3 with everybody else in that division, and it also gives the Steelers a win that they much needed with Ben Roethlisberger on the shelf. Gives the Steelers a 3-2 record, and they feel really good about where they are right now with Ben Roethlisberger out of the lineup. And so that's a huge win. You can't quantify how big of a win that was for the Steelers, because let's just say Vic has to play 2 more games and he splits them. They're now 4-3 with Roethlisberger coming back. They're going to get hot again. That's a huge win. Had they lost this game, dropped to 2-3, that's 2 consecutive losses. You could conceivably lose next week at home to Arizona. Then you would be staring 3 losses in the face. And then you're like, hey, Ben, you got to come back. Then you start rushing Ben back. He's not ready to come back, but he comes back anyway because that's what Ben Roethlisberger does. He could re-aggravate something. He could not be 100%. They could lose. This thing could have gotten out of control. What this win does is it buys you more time. You don't have to rush Ben Roethlisberger back now. You can take your time, let him heal, and this was a huge win. Really debilitating loss for the Chargers, but an even bigger win for the Pittsburgh Steelers as we wrap up week number 5 in the National Football League. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Hurry, 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 up, off it.
There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter at InTheLabRoom, or you can like the Facebook page at In the Lab Room. That's In the Lab Room on Facebook and at In the Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.